So today was day one of CDL training. Now, for the first 5 days of this particular school, they train you to get your permit, and that's pretty cool to me. Some places that I called, they make you get your permit and then you can come in for classes, but this place trains you for it, which is really cool. Now, I showed up today not really knowing what to expect. I got there before time. I always like to show up early places, and I got there early and then hung out front. There was a few other people that were there, and one guy seemed to be there for a bit. He already had his permit, so I think he was just coming by to make up for something or something. I don't exactly know what. But when he was there, I told, he asked me if it was my first day, because I asked him a question that I guess threw out, to him. He knew that meant that I was totally green because I was looking at my paperwork to make sure that I had the right location, because it was like, by the time I got out of my car, it was like 5 minutes before they were supposed to technically start the course, but it started half an hour after the time that we had to arrive, because they gave like 30 minutes for us to get set up, and everything was already set up when we got there, so it wasn't a big deal. But the guy basically said to me that he said, "Are you new?" And I said, "Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm in the right place." He said, "You are. It's just right through those doors." I'm like, "All right, good. That's what I thought." And he went on to tell me that, and I asked if he had his permit yet, and he said, "Oh yeah." And he said that he went to Crist CDL, CRIST-CDL.com. He said that actually prepared him more for the permit than did the course. And that was like, okay. I went to the website, the Crist CDL, and on my phone while we were setting up. And yeah, it has nonstop tests. But one of the things I did when I logged into the machine is, since we were just sitting around waiting for people across the country, or at least on the East Coast, to get set up, is I went through the material, and they had everything from the CDL training manuals for all the different states to different modules, different tests. There was a lot of mandatory, and there was a lot of extra credit, or not really extra credit, I guess, because you're not like graded. Not in that sense, but there was optional things, extra quizzes and modules and stuff. And I looked at this and said to myself, that's kind of the same kind of thing I would expect to see. And when I went to Crist CDL and started looking at it, that was the same kind of thing as what I was seeing in these extra modules. So I said to myself, I'm going to try these, because this is actually, a paid for course. So I'm going to go through all the optional stuff and at least familiarize myself with it, do all the additional extra things. And that's one of the things I did tonight when I got home. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The course was pretty cool. Everyone was really nice. There was, I was one of 6 people in my course that was there today, and the instructor was really funny. He was knowledgeable. He had one of these laughs that just, when he laughs, it makes you laugh because he's hilarious. And there were some boneheaded people on the East Coast that were in this course that just were not paying any attention. And it was like you literally face palm. It's like he just got through saying, all right, we're going to start at 8:30. We're going to have our first break at 10. It's for 15 minutes. Then we're going to go until noon, and we're going to have a half-hour lunch. Then we're going to have another 15-minute break at 2:30. So we're going to go no more than about 2 hours without a break. And as soon as he said those words, a guy raised his hand in the Zoom call and said, "Yeah, are we going to be going straight, or are we going to have breaks?" And we were all like, seriously, you didn't listen at all. There was another guy who, we know that we're doing the we're doing the modules of safety. And it was really funny because he logged in on his cell phone, and the first thing the guy said was, "Oh, you can't come in on your cell phone. You got to come in on a computer of some sort." And then he said, "Wait a minute, you're driving. You can't drive while you're taking this training course. What are you doing here? You got to pull over. You got to find a laptop." So he disconnected the guy. But it's like that kind of thing. It's like if you're talking about on the road safety and taking a course on driving, you can't drive distracted. It's just like, and he logs in on this thing. It's just, that kind of stuff was hilarious. I mean, one of my favorite ones was, as soon as we got to our first test, the instructor said, "Okay, So we're going to start off easy. This is only a 5-question test. And you can take it as many times as you want to until you get all of them right. It tells you the answer, so it shouldn't take you very long. But you can only miss one because you have to pass all of our quizzes with an 80 or above. So how many does that mean that you can miss? And he puts it out there, and most people are just kind of sitting there thinking, how easy of a question is this? The one guy that raised his hand and said 2. And the instructor said, I don't know what school you went to. I mean, it was just like, okay, you can, pass with an 80, which is missing 1. And it was just so funny. It's like, and we were all just like, seriously? Anyway, it takes all kinds, I guess. But, no, the place actually, I half expected it to be a place that it would be kind of warm. You're sitting in there and it'd be warm and it would start to irritate me because I like to be cold. But surprisingly, the air conditioner worked really well. So some people were pulling their arms inside of their shirts because they were cold. So they'll wear a jacket tomorrow. A couple of people had hoodies and they went out to their car during the first break and grabbed them because the AC works really well. And the modules, I thought he taught really well. He didn't overly beat a dead horse. To me, the only thing that was kind of less than desirable is that it took so long to get started, and it was so slow paced at the beginning because everyone was logging in or having issues, just to as he was talking about the curriculum and what we were going to be doing and how we were going to be doing it was so boring. And so just sitting there listening to that stuff made me drowsy, even though I'm not the kind of person that's just going to sit there and sleep through a class. As soon as he started the actual material, I was like, paying attention. And that to me was interesting because there's a lot of things about this, but then he played a couple of videos, like one of them that I didn't really go to lunch. I don't really go to lunch, but I had a snack. And then coming back from lunch, he played a 42-minute long video on how to inspect your truck. Well, there's a lot to it. And there was like rapid fire here, and then you go over here, and then you'll go over here. And if you have that ability, do this. And then if you do this, and it's just so much stuff. And I remember looking around the room and so many people were like, eyes closed because it was the first thing up after lunch. It's like, we're going to play a 42-minute long video. And that was the kind of thing that they were like, trying to stay awake to. I thought that was kind of funny, even though the video I thought was very well made. And, I mean, I like the fact that he uses a combination of videos because, there's animations to show certain things. And then there's a combination of explaining things and showing, explaining the DOT rules and the laws. And there's graphics that they put up, and the instructor covers it really well. And only a couple of things that he beat a dead horse about. And it was really cool. It was kind of surprising to me that the people in the course today, some of them hadn't even had their DOT physical. After I signed up on the course on Friday, I went across the street and got the DOT physical. Now, some people had said that they were in and out in like 20 minutes. They literally went in there and there was no one there. So they just walked right in and sent them here for a DOT physical. And they took them, did their eyes, did their whatever check, and then said, you're free to go. Me, I was there almost 2 hours last Friday. And it was just like, you're going to do your eye exam. Okay, now you're going to go in here. And then they're going to do the next thing. And it was like a few minutes of a wait. And there was a few more minutes of a wait. It took me 45 minutes to get back there just for the eye exam. And I think the first thing they did was weigh me. So it was, went through the whole entire thing. And some of it was like, I was sitting in this one room and they said, oh yeah, the air conditioner is like, it's always cold in this room. It's because the air conditioner was literally above the room. And there was a tube coming straight out of the air conditioner, straight down. It didn't have to route anywhere. And I could tell because it was loud right over the top of the room. And it literally just blew the air straight out. It went straight down. They could probably choke it off a little bit up in the walls. And so that way it's not blowing nearly as hard there. And it routes the colder air across, probably their 10 to 12 different rooms. But that's above my pay grade as a decision is. But, I got it and got everything. And it didn't say pass or fail on the thing, but she said, all right, you're good to go. And everything was on there. So I guess I'll take it to the Department of Transportation when I'm ready to take the permit test, and that will be that. But, I tell you this, the inspection, there's a lot of general knowledge, and I'm usually pretty good at remembering random facts and stuff. But I tell you, that video talking all about the inspection, and that was over my head. I don't pretend to be a mechanic. I don't pretend to know anything about vehicles. I'm going to be learning a lot in this course. And I tell you, I left that with big eyes saying, man, I should have been studying for this thing. Get ready. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to get on chriscdl.com. I'm going to go through all the modules and start doing all the tests. But I tell you this, I came home. I was with my family for a little bit, ate some food, and then I started jumping into the material. But after day one, you only know a little bit. We haven't gotten into air brakes. We haven't gotten into combinations. We've only basically done safety. We've done, distracted driving. We've done, basics on backing up and things like that. I mean, we haven't gotten into hardly anything just yet. And trying to go through the general knowledge stuff, the optional, the extracurricular stuff. I did the one first test, which was 50 questions. I got 39 of them, and some of them I was just guessing at. So I missed that 80% by one, but even then I would have taken the test again until I get 100 because it gives you the answers. That's one thing I really appreciate about all the modules and all the different material. Just like, on the other websites and stuff I've seen so far, when you get a question wrong, it gives you the answer. Now on the Chris CDL, what it does is it gives you the answer and then you move on. And it says, no, that one's not right, or it'll say that's correct. And then it moves you on. But what this does with the 160 course, it makes you take them all. And so that way you can't look at it and say, wait a minute, because question number 16 was related to question number 22. I remember them asking the same kind of thing. And you go back and try to piece together what it is on the test based on the material that's in the list. You just have to scroll up a little bit. But that didn't happen. It gives you the entire thing. You take it, then you submit it, and it grades it. So I kind of like that approach better because you can scroll down, you can see what you got right, see what you got wrong. And then based on that, I learned from the general questions what I needed to improve on. Took the test again on the second time. I got a 100. So that to me told me that it was effective in teaching. It was good. Some of the courses, some of the modules I took today in the class, when I got the questions wrong, I went back and retook the test, which you're allowed to do as many times as you want to. It just wants you to get the right information because it's designed to teach you with the question. So if you get it right, great. It's because you know the material. If you get it wrong, they teach you the right answer. That way you have an idea of the way something would be when you go forth with the actual CDL practice tests and all the different tests related to that. So it's cool in that sense because I like the approach. I like it where it's kind of letting you fail or succeed. And then it gives you the tools you need to correct it. There was one question I saw that had a typo in it, and I'm going to send it to him. And just because I'm the kind of person that always likes to make things better, and that's just my nature. I'll tell someone if it's something that needs improving, or if there was a little tweak to something that needs to happen. But anyway, great first day as far as I'm concerned. It's a lot of material, and I felt very overwhelmed by the inspection. But then they were quick to tell us after we watched the video, you're going to have inspection drilled into you. So I'm like, good. I'm glad because I need it. That's going to be something that when they start talking about how you check this and how you check that and stuff, and it's like so many different things. I'm like, I as of right now, I don't know how in the world I'd pass the test because I don't know how to check all this stuff. And you watch the video of the guy checking things, and he's like literally touching things and like shaking this and touch. I'm like, I don't even know what the guy's doing. He's shaking a hose here and he's touching this thing, and it looks like he's flying so fast. But then once you kind of get a routine down and you know the way something works, like if it's your truck, you would know it because you drive it every single day. You know how it's supposed to work, how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to look, what the lights are doing. And if you see a crack that's out of place, that's going to stand out to you. You're going to notice that. But like little things, how, a tire, for example, part of it's on the ground, part of it's, up on the top. If you can only inspect certain grooves of it, only in a one little bitty area, it seems kind of almost like, how can you fully say you've checked an entire tire if you put the little wheel well, the measuring, the tread depth tool in there, and it comes back up, and then you have to go to like the next one, then the next one, then the next one? Or would the tire pretty much evenly go all the way across there, and you kind of look at it from a different angle and you can see if it's not going even? But then what about the rest of the circle? So it's like, how can you really say you've inspected it if you can't check the whole thing? But then if you check the whole thing, it's kind of like, well, at that point, wouldn't it take like an hour and a half to do it all in like very thorough detail, where you're crawling all under the inside of the truck and the cab and everything else? I don't know. There's got to be a streamlined way, and I'm sure I'll learn that in time. But for right now, it all seems kind of like, whoa, so much. But then, all the other jobs I've ever had in my life too, they've seemed detailed and overwhelming. And after a while, you fall into a routine. It just kind of makes sense. But optimistic. Day one was good as far as I'm concerned. I'm not used to sitting there for 8 hours and just not moving. The jobs I've always had in the past have been very active and moving around and doing things. And this is just sitting there watching modules and taking quizzes and stuff. And I'm not used to that. So it's going to be interesting going back for day two. So I'll do another one of these tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it though.